Oh, hello. My name is Mara and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So welcome to Navel Gazing Like Whoa / Housekeeping Like Whoa today. Today we're gonna have sort of just a chatty kind of meta conversation about my goals for BookTube for this year and some housekeeping items and some things I'm thinking about, where my head's been out recently kind of with the channel. So yeah, I understand if this is not your kind of video, but I wanted to put this out there and then have it as sort of like a reference in terms of boundaries that I'm gonna be trying to adhere to more in the coming year, as well as just general sort of like where my head's at with the channel. So strap in for a little meta like whoa. And yeah, let's go ahead and just start with some goals for 2020. For BookTube in particular, you guys have already seen all of my specifically book related goals, and I've also got some challenges and whatnot that I am doing that you guys will be finding out more about as the year goes on. So I'm not talking about book specific goals or reading specific goals. This is more around the channel itself. While I'm not someone who likes to set a New Year's resolution per se every year, I do use kind of the changing of the year as an opportunity to reflect on kind of where I'm at in my life, where I'm going, things I would like to work towards in the next year. And I do that for all areas of my life, for work, for personal life, etc. And when I sat down to try to think about what I wanted from BookTube in 2020, I kind of found that I was a little bit at a loss, because there'd really only been two main goals that I had up until that point. First and foremost, to make content that I was proud of, that I was excited about, and to do that sort of consistently, like to honor the sort of commitment that I have made to you, my viewers, to consistently produce content. And that's just sort of a part of this hobby is consistency, and I want to make sure that I'm always producing things that I'm interested in and proud of. So that was always sort of my first and foremost goal for the channel. And then just in terms of like gamification, because I am somebody who likes like setting a challenge and getting to it, the sort of far off goal in my mind had been, it would be amazing if I could ever get to 10,000 subscribers. And that is something that happened like right at the turning of the year. So thank you guys so much for that. But it did kind of leave me in this place of, I don't know that I'd really ever thought beyond those two things. And it kind of made me go back and think about like, okay, well, why did I start this channel in the first place? So when I first started the channel, really the void I was trying to fill was that I was living in a city that I didn't really like, at a job that I'm thankful for because it was an important kind of stepping stone for me, but that I did not enjoy, that I didn't find that fulfilling. And I was desperately missing the community that I had fostered during my time in my master's program. It was just a really rich time, both socially and intellectually. And so much of what was wonderful about that experience was that we were all reading similar things and talking about it. And it was, if you go to sort of a liberal artsy kind of master's program, it often can end up feeling sort of like a glorified book club. Like a lot of what you're doing is reading and reacting to things with your peers. And I was really feeling the lack of that. And I was trying to find a way to create that kind of feeling or space in my life, because I was just missing it so much. And I'm such a reader, like I'm such a bookworm, and that, has always been my main hobby. And especially after grad school, I just could not focus on TV anymore. So, I didn't have like a TV show I could talk about with my friends at work kind of a thing, or I didn't have like that movie that I was so excited to go see with my friends on the weekend, or like I didn't really have that kind of entertainment route for me anymore, because I just couldn't focus on it. So I was reading more and more, and I had no one to talk to about it. So that was really what I started BookTube for, and still is the thing that is the best part of BookTube for me is I read so much, and I at least have an outlet to talk to someone about everything that I'm reading. And that in reflecting on my goals, I'm like, okay, I want to keep that. Like that's like the most fulfilling part of this for me, is having that kind of this outlet for the bubbling up of everything that I have to say of what I'm reading right now, of responding to, bookish controversies, or to, talking about things that I've realized about my reading, like whatever. That is the thing that I really love. And since I have now reached a certain level of viewership, I'm not starving for that anymore. Like I have engagement from so many wonderful people who, just enrich my life just through comments, but then also, real friendships with different creators. So I feel like that piece of the puzzle of what I've been looking for from BookTube is filled, and I'm comfortable that that will continue to be filled. So I don't need to focus on that anymore. And I don't really have like a number in mind anymore. So like, I'm somebody who always has to kind of have a vision of the path. I'm a Sagittarius rising. You see the goal, you meet the goal, and then you see another. Like that is sort of how I operate, which is why the gamification piece of YouTube and all of the things of like, oh, I hit this milestone has always appealed to me. But that's not really the goal that I can meet anymore. Like that's not where I have my eyes set. So with that being said, I was reflecting on like, okay, well, what goals would be meaningful for me to try to achieve in 2020? And I think one thing that upon reflection I've realized is that I think because, we talked about my Sagittarius rising, now we'll talk about my Virgo moon. Because I'm such a planner and because I'm somebody who like, once I make a commitment to something, I do it. In real life, a lot of what I do is project management. Like once I set like, this is how many videos a week I'm making and like, here's what I'm trying to do, I will just kind of do it until the goal is changed. And I think one thing I've sort of realized is that in trying to make sure that I'm posting 3 videos a week, I've never posted something that I've not been happy with. I've had several times where I've made a video and wasn't happy with it, and so I went back and redid it, or I just scrapped it all together. It's not that I'm producing things I'm not happy with, but I do think that in trying to focus on that 3 times a week schedule, have had more videos in the last 6 months that I'm not that excited about. Now, sometimes they're videos that you guys are really excited about and they do really well, and that's great. But I think one thing for 2020, if I was gonna set like an intention for BookTube, it is to focus on creating content that I am genuinely excited about, that I'm excited to film it, I'm excited to edit it, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. And I think the more achievable schedule for that to be able to be the way it goes is 2-ish videos a week. That's kind of in my mind where I'm setting my intention of like, okay, instead of, I think right now I'm on Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, my intention now I think is going to be a Wednesday, Sunday kind of thing. And that's going to allow me to do 2 things. One, like I was saying, I think that will allow me to focus on the videos that I am truly excited about. And if there's a week where timing wise, it ends up making sense for me to have 3 videos because I'm excited about all of them, like I'll do that. You guys are gonna see, I was looking at my overall plan. There are a few weeks coming up where I'm gonna have 3 videos, but in general, I wanna focus and make the kind of internal goal I set for myself 2 videos a week. And the other thing that's gonna let me do is it's going to give me time to focus more on some of the like technical things that I have been interested in, but intimidated by, and haven't had time to really like lean into because I'm focused on trying to keep my schedule. So like I want to spend more time researching like cool things I can do in Final Cut Pro. One thing I did recently was I did get a new computer because the one I had was like 5 years old and it was just so slow. And I got it before I was making videos, so it wasn't really purchased with some of those needs in mind. So I upped my memory so that Final Cut Pro will work better. Like, I've got sort of the hardware piece of it now where I think I can do some interesting things. And I want to explore trying to do that. I want to make things that are more difficult than just like kind of purely editing out my ums and likes to the degree that I can. Or trying to, replace things if the argument makes more sense in a different ordering. Like I want to do things that are maybe a little bit more challenging on a technical level. So I think having a reduced schedule is going to allow me to focus on things I'm excited about, and it's going to let me try to build some of the kind of behind the scenes proficiencies that I think would be a fun challenge for me to engage with in 2020. It's also going to let me spend more time on some longer term projects that I've had in mind, and I've already started working on some of them. So, you guys will see the fruits of that in the coming months, but longer term reading projects, longer term vlog. One thing that I have started working on, and the fact that I've reduced my schedule will give me the space to experiment with this, is I've started writing some video essays that I would like to do. Like I have a whole series laid out of something that I've always really wanted to do. And I think as I've spent more time on YouTube, have felt that I can find a way to do it through video in a way that will be interesting, I hope, or at least it will be creatively fulfilling to me, which is really what my goal this year is. So, I want more time to spend making those and making that something that is good. Like I'm not going to get to ContraPoints or Lindsay Ellis level of video essaying, like don't mishear me on that, but something that I feel proud of and I think is interesting. And I think that also folds into my kind of like life goal for 2020 2020, which is just to get back to a place where I'm being extremely proactive about anxiety management. So, I've recommitted to going to therapy more often. I'm, doing yoga 2 to 3 times a week. I'm going to get kitties to have around the house. And, some of the things that I'm also wanting to do is I want to spend more time writing again. So some of that is this, kind of video essay idea I have, but I also have, been kicking around some ideas about this isolated closed circle mystery that I want to write. And I'm excited about that. And I want to be able to spend more time on other forms of creativity. I think I didn't realize when I got into BookTube that I had such bad writer's block right after grad school. I think I just written too many long papers. I just did my thesis, I just couldn't write. And, it's taken a couple of years, but that's sort of receded, and there is space for writing again in my life. And that's something that I really enjoy doing. It's very fulfilling to me. So, I want to have space for that. And I want YouTube to get back to a place where it really is just something I'm super excited about every single video and really, engaged. I think something that's been very telling to me, because in sort of the month of January, I had a lot of my content pre-filmed because, there was a lot of beginning of the year lists or wrap-ups or whatever. Just the way it worked out, a lot of it was pre-filmed. And I've gotten, a ton of reading done, which has been cool. But B, I think it did give me some space to kind of step back a little bit and reflect on okay, you need to get to a place where you're not just so much in the machine of BookTube all the time. What does it look like to get back to this being something that's not just sort of by rote and is something that I'm just really energized by? So I think that making those changes is going to help do that. And, this makes it sound like I'm just, I need a break. And that's not it at all. It's more just I see kind of the path I'm on. And if I don't take care now to change things up, I do think I would need a break. I think I would get to the point where I was burnt out or not as in love with the whole process. And I'm not there yet. And I don't want to get there. So this is more about me trying to align role BookTube now plays in my life, which is I want it to be one of my creative outlets. I want it to be one of the ways that I get to, kind of share my things I'm excited about or my geekish love of books. So I think that that's kind of more where my goal setting mindset is. So to that end, those are some of the goals I have for 2020 for the channel. And then I do just want to talk about some housekeeping items. And some of these are things I've been kind of mulling on for a while and are a part of some changes I want to make for anxiety management in 2020. And some of these are just things I don't know that I've ever said on the channel. And I want to say it here and kind of explain why I'm doing things the way I am. And I know there's a lot of new people who've, joined in the last couple of months. So just overall sort of housekeeping / channel management expectations between me, the creator, and you, the viewer, and just how to make our life together more harmonious. Hey guys, I'm coming at you from a different day because I just was an unorganized garbage mess when I got to the housekeeping section of this. So I just decided we were gonna do this all over again. Okay, so housekeeping items, part the first. I just wanted to make it clear that I'm no longer an affiliate with Book of the Month Club YA. Just for your information, I need to go back and edit out those parts of the description. Not really any dramatic reason as to why, mostly just I've been trying to simplify things a little bit this year. And I was a little uncomfortable with a couple of things of how the program was being administered. Totally makes sense on their part of why they would do it that way. I just felt like it was a complication in my life I didn't need. So I don't, discount that service or anything. I still subscribe to Book of the Month Club Adult. So take that for what it's worth. But I just basically wanted to make it clear that that is not something I am doing anymore. Number 2, talking about communication paths to me. So one thing, and again, this is something I need to explore the best way to try to do this, but I just want to make it clear, I have tried to do this through changing how I have my end card set up. I have this in my description in my About Me section on the channel. Email really is for business reasons only at this point, simply because it's been a journey, man. Earlier in the channel, the email volume was something I could deal with and I could get to. It has grown to a point where I just can't, and that is for a number of reasons. One, I get a lot of requests from sketchy people wanting me to try to sell you things. So I'm having to sort through that piece. Then I have people with legitimate businessy things that I'm trying to get back to and respond to. And then I also have a lot of self-pubbed authors who are asking me to review things for them, which is also a legitimate businessy thing. It would be if I didn't clearly say in my About section that I don't accept self-pubbed arcs for review. And the reason I've decided to do this, and I've just let go of the guilt of not getting back to people on this because I was getting so many, it was making me so anxious, and I was like, I just can't, I can't, I know it, I feel rude doing it, but I just can't take the time to go back and respond to everything because it just was stressing me out so much. So I am not comfortable, like this is just, I guess, a side review policy note, but I am not comfortable reviewing self-pubbed arcs because I feel like if I do not like it, my opinion disproportionately could hurt that book's chances. And I am not comfortable doing that. I've had several self-pubbed authors be very self-aware, and I appreciate that, of saying like, hey, even if you don't like it, I appreciate any reviews. Like, I'm not, whatever, it's fine. Or even, could you just show it in a book haul? I am not comfortable getting a book that I don't plan on reading. I'm also not, even if you are okay, what is it? In Friends, when Monica says, you may be okay with me hurting you, but I am not okay being the one to hurt you. That's how I feel about it. Of like, if I end up not liking it, I am just not comfortable with being the one who like has a bad review on your Goodreads page or who says something bad on YouTube. And I also don't feel comfortable just not saying anything because I wouldn't do that for any other book. Like, I can't, it's too much. Emotionally, it's just too much for me to get into. I apologize for the lateness or the rudeness factor there. I have done my very best to make it clear that that is not the right way to contact me if you want to talk. The best way to get in touch with me, guys, period, is in the comments of YouTube, because I spend all day, so some of this is also just a personal thing. In my job, I spend all day being hyper responsive to email. Like, that's a huge part of what I do, is monitoring my email for issues that I need to jump on right then. All email as a result of that feels like work to me. And so in my off time, you can talk to my friends and family about this. I am terrible at email and text for this reason. It feels like work to me, and I have to very purposely switch my brain into a mode where I don't reject it as like, no, I'm not working right now, I'm not dealing with that. So I am a terrible texter. I am a terrible emailer. Like, that is just something that every year for my New Year's resolution, I say I'm gonna get better at this, and I'm generally failing at it. I'm trying so hard to get better, but I'm just not good at it. And it's an excuse, but it's my excuse. So all that being said, what I have trained my brain to not do is I don't think of comments in YouTube in that same bucket. Like, I've made it a part of my workflow that I go in and check the comments, and like, I check the comments all the time, but I go in and respond to the comments like 2 or 3 times a week. It's not triggering that part of my brain, but I'm telling you, email and DMs trigger that same part of my brain. I read them and I forget them because I'm like, I'm not on duty right now, so I don't have to worry about this yet. So all that to say, if you want to get in touch with me, please do it in my comments. That is where you're gonna get the quickest response. So I hope that that's a better explanation of sort of like where I'm coming from with all of that stuff, where my head's at. It is never my intention to ignore someone, unless you're being rude, then we'll get to that here in a minute. It's never my intention to ignore someone or make someone feel bad or whatever, but please just keep in mind that this is my hobby. I have a full-time job, and there's a lot of y'all. If there's a moment where I'm prioritizing relaxing after a long day of work or responding to DMs when I don't really like texting or DMing in general, like, that's the reality of it, and that's a choice I make for my sanity. And then I also just want to like say this out loud and give myself verbal permission to do this. So I am someone who really believes in keeping the comments as open as possible. Like, I do not heavily moderate my comments. I appreciate constructive criticism I get in my comments. Like, when someone has something that is said from a genuine place that can help me improve the quality of my content, or just like something I hadn't thought about before, I'm happy to take that on board. And, if it's constructive, I usually respond and say like, oh, well, here's like, even if I disagree with it, I'll say like, hey, I hear where you're coming from. Here's why I do this way, or here's why I think this, or whatever. I'm totally open to constructive two-way dialogue. Like, I don't expect people to agree with me all the time, whatever. I think that because that's my position, and I always like to sort of see both sides or whatever, I think there are times where I feel the need to respond to comments that are not coming from a constructive place and try to make it a constructive experience. And I think I need to just let that go. If it's not aggressive, I will still probably let it stand. Honestly, because sometimes I'm a little bit petty and I enjoy watching people respond to those comments and explain why they're wrong. I'm a human. I get petty sometimes. I'm sorry. But you know, people who are just being pedants, I can be a pedant too. I never actually write a comment about it, so that's a choice. But you know, people who are, well, I was about to give an example and I don't feel like that's appropriate because I have a bigger platform than the people who are being pedants to me, so whatever. But I am gonna give myself permission to stop responding in any way, unless it just gives me petty enjoyment to call them out for being pedants, then maybe I will do that. If someone's being aggressive to me, I think I need to start giving myself more permission to delete the comment at minimum and maybe hide the user from the channel. I don't always know the right way. I really don't believe in feeding the trolls, because so if someone's being aggressive to me, I kind of feel like if I just purely ignore them, that's usually the best response. But then I'm stuck with knowing that the comment is out there. So I don't know. I go back and forth on if I should delete those. But in general, I think what I just wanted to state is that I'm officially giving myself permission to not have to respond to people who are being rude to me, who are being aggressive, or who are not being constructive. And it doesn't mean I'm going to delete their comments, and I will still sadly read some of these comments and have them, you know, bring my mood down a little bit in that moment. But I'm not gonna, this isn't me announcing like I'm about to do some sort of heavy moderation in the comments, because honestly, also we're talking about a minority of comments that I get. Like 95% of the comments I get are fun, positive. Another 3% are probably like constructive criticism in some way, and then there's like 2% that are just like rude, aggressive, dumb. I always love also the fact that this category exists, but I love the Agatha Christie fanboys or like dude bros who come in and try to act like I don't know anything about Agatha Christie. Now, trust and believe, I don't know nearly as much as some of the people who watch my Agatha Christie videos, but they're like, you clearly never read this, and I'm like, okay. I mean, literally you're in a playlist right now of the 50 books by this author that I have read, but fine, sure, live in that reality. Those are ones that I always kind of don't know what to do with, but I think I'm just gonna start ignoring them, or like continue to ignore them, but ignore them affirmatively. Like I'm no longer gonna allow myself to have like a conflict about, do I need to engage with them, or like, do I need to, I just need to let it go like Elsa and move on with my life. And then this last one is sort of an open question, and I will leave this to you guys in the comments, and this is where I got tripped up in my first attempt to film this. So I think I've reached a point in my YouTube journey where I'm very conflicted about how much I should or should not be sharing with people about my real life. Now, I keep my real life pretty separate from YouTube in terms of, you know, I have a moniker and whatever. Like, I don't feel like I'm overly enmeshing these two spheres, but I am somebody who also just, in terms of my propensity, I have probably a propensity to overshare. Like, I tend to just sort of be an open book. If somebody asks me how my day's going and it's not going well, I'm not going to be like, it's great. I'm usually like, I've had better. How are you doing today? Like, I'm just sort of dispositionally somebody who, you know, tries to be pretty honest. The other thing is that some of the things that I share about my real life, I also do from a sense of wanting to have like a voice or representation. I think that's one of the coolest things about YouTube, is that with the rise of sort of like more personalized content creation, there's been, you know, a rise of like seeing people like you online. So you see people who struggle with depression or anxiety or other kinds of mental illnesses. You know, you see people who are like you in some other meaningful way. Like, I thought it was, I mean, I wept recently, but the entire Nikki tutorials coming out, I mean, that's just like to me such a testament to the power of people being able to speak their truth, share their reality, and help other people feel seen. So like when I share things about the fact that, you know, I do have, you know, a real anxiety issue, and how, you know, I struggle with eating disorder, like things that have happened in my life where I feel like part of why I'm sharing that is because I just am somebody who is prone to sharing. And if I'm having a very anxious month, for example, that really often does impact my reading. So it's something that it makes sense to come up in the context of like a reading update. But I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering if I need to not do that, because then it also, I've realized, invites comments from people who I know, and this gets into the whole like creator watcher relationship. Like, I know that it feels like we know each other. I mean, there's definitely people who've been in my comments for years now at this point who I feel like I know, but we don't really. And so there's this level of comments that have started to creep in that I'm not always comfortable with, in terms of trying to tell me what to do about different things, or I don't know. There just comes to be a certain level of bossiness, maybe, or an entitlement to have an opinion about my life, or about like even just things like that are more superficial. So like my reading choices of, well, why are you reading that if you know you're not going to give it 5 stars? Or I don't know. Some of this I don't think I can control. The only thing I think I can control is how much I share. So I guess I just want to kind of leave that there and maybe just open up a dialogue of, how do you think about what it is or isn't right to share online about your real life? How do you think about your relationship to the people you watch and the kinds of things that you're interested in hearing about their personal lives? Like, are you somebody who, when you come onto BookTube, you want to hear just about the books? You do not want to hear about somebody's personal life at all? Are you somebody who watches BookTube as like a form of lifestyle content that is focused around books, but then, has other things going on? Like, I guess I'm just interested. I'm kind of right now wrestling with what I should and shouldn't share. And I would be interested to hear from you guys, kind of your perspective on what you think is and isn't right for you specifically to share online. And then just like in theory, creators, what should or shouldn't be shared. If any of that made sense. I think this was a more coherent explanation of what I'm getting at than my first time around at this. But I guess that's just something in 2020 I am thinking about and would be interested to hear your opinions about. So now I will send you back to the first time I filmed this. Anyway, that was a very rambly, navel-gazing like whoa, housekeeping like whoa, meta like whoa video for you guys. And I kind of wanted to officially speak into existence the fact that I'm scaling back output a little bit and kind of share why and how that fits into what I'm trying to do overall on the channel. Let me know, things that you guys are excited to see, because some of the things that I get excited about are videos I know you guys are anticipating. So, let me know what's exciting to you on the channel, things that you would like to see more of. And yeah, just some of your thoughts about booktubers and boundaries, booktubers and how things get managed on a day-to-day basis. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this weird video. If you did, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. And I think that will do it. I hope you are having an absolutely lovely day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye.